Can you hear me? Mic check 1, 2 on the way to third. SJR is in the building. Did you heard? Did you heard me? They say they see me. Do they hear me? Yes. Man, we back at this thing. Let me tell you something. The devil is busy. We had to 2020 this whole podcast situation where you just unplug it and plug it back in and see if it would work. Well, it didn't work for 2020, but it seems to have worked for the podcast. If you are listening on the podcast because you didn't catch us on the live, we had some technical difficulties, but we back in this thing like swimwear. How y'all doing? Yes. Man, I almost stressed, but God is faithful. I don't have anywhere to go. And if you're like me, living your life quarantine, you don't have nowhere to go either. So I had time today. See, this is what the enemy doesn't know when he's trying you is you got time today. Next time the enemy comes for you, I just want you to tell the enemy, I got time today. I see they're logged in on YouTube and the Facebook. They said, no stress, baby. They can finally hear. Tanya Miller says it is her first time on live. What's up, sis? How you doing? We've been waiting on you. Gabrielle says, yes, the devil is defeated. Come on, somebody. Colette says, won't he do it? I see New Orleans is in the building. Fort Lauderdale is in the place. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? Rebecca Wirt says, drinking my ocean spray juice and minding my business. Minding your business is so important in this season. Tracy says, I got time today. All right, listen, guys. What is going on in your life? We are day 6,895 billion trillion days isolated. And I have to tell you, I'm fine. You know, I realized Monday, today's Tuesday. It was Monday. I was in the kitchen. I was cooking. And I was like, Sarah, come back. You used to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, you just pull from what I preached on Thursday about God not putting you in no race without preparing you for the race. You have been prepared in some capacity to survive this season that you're in right now. I don't know what it was for you. Maybe you were like me and you had to remind yourself before you became an entrepreneur and before you started working in different corporate environments, you were a stay-at-home mom. That hit me and I was like, so I can pull from a little bit of something. Maybe you went through a season where you were away from friends and family because you were at a new school or you were working in a new city. Maybe it was only a weekend. Maybe it was a week. You got to pull from what you got in this season because what you got is what you got, and what you don't got, you don't got, and you got to learn to live with what you don't got. I'm preaching already. Okay. Yvonne says, it's when that weekend hit and I need to go into my essential position. We thank you, Yvonne, for your essential role that you're playing and keeping us all together in this season. I'm sitting at the house. I'm just trying to make a way out of no way. Okay. I'm finally taking meetings. When quarantine isolation first started, I wasn't taking any meetings because I thought I was on vacation. I thought that everyone was just wrapping their mind around a pandemic. I didn't understand why people still wanted me to work. I had finally come to a place where I realized, okay, fine. I will answer emails. This is not summer vacation. I got to keep things pushing. So that is where I am right now. Monica Henry says, trying to keep a positive mindset as an essential healthcare worker. Well, Monica, hopefully this will add a little joy and light to your day. We appreciate you and all of the sacrifices you're making in this season. We do not take it lightly, praying for a hedge of protection for you and everyone else who is working essential positions. I went to the grocery store Sunday, right before they told us in Los Angeles to avoid the grocery store for the next 2 weeks. And I tried to make it a point to just thank the grocery store clerk for everything they're doing and remind them to stay safe. Megan says, I became a live-in nanny to quarantine with my family. Come on, somebody's got to do these things. Nikki Lane says, Nikki from Memphis, Tennessee, enjoying bonding with my kids and dogs, learning how to do new things. That is important, using this time wisely to kind of shore up your relationships and take care of things. Let's see. Monica says, thank you, Pat. Oh, I took my good sis advice and I got my man. What we talking about? What y'all talking about? I'm a Soldier says, are you wearing your mask, Pastor? I wear my mask when I am out and about. Right now I'm at home, so I have no mask on unless I'm just trying to protect myself from these children. and all manners of drama. I keep telling Ella stay off the floor. Ella continues to be on the floor. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Monica Lewis says, I got married, Sarah. Congratulations, Monica. You better. You got married. When you get married? Did you get married during this quarantine situation? And how y'all do that? Did you just did you see the video of the person who was performing the wedding from the window? Was that y'all, or did y'all get to have the full thing? Or tell me how y'all do it? Y'all did it on FaceTime? Tell us. We want to know. Congratulations to Monica and everyone else out here just getting booed up and becoming one in this season. And congratulations to everyone else who's becoming one by breaking up with people in this season, because sometimes you become one by joining with someone, and sometimes you become one by leaving someone. I didn't mean to come through with the word, but there it is, just marinating all up in your situation. Kesh Kia says, been homeschooling for a month now. Keep me lifted. I am keeping you lifted. Artree says, let Ella live her life. That is the problem. Let me tell you something else about Ella. Ella woke up at 2:00 in the morning. I don't know about you. When I close my eyes, it is for the whole evening. I don't wake up to think about anything. I don't wake up to do anything. I don't get hungry. When I close my eyes at nighttime, it is for me to go to bed. Ella woke up at 2:00 in the morning talking about she had a nightmare. I went to her room. I hugged her. I loved on her, kissed her, laid her back down. Get back in the bed. Husband says, what was wrong with her? She said, I said, well, she said she had a nightmare. He said, well, what was the nightmare about? I was like, I didn't ask no questions. I hugged her. I prayed for her. I laid her down. Sometimes y'all make me think I'm a bad person. People ask me questions about stuff, and y'all don't understand the level of. I was in Mind Your Business Ministries when Ella woke up at 2 a.m. She said she had a nightmare. I said, girl, let me mind my business and give you a hug and a kiss. My husband gets on me all the time because he be asking me questions about stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, like somebody's sick, and he's like, well, what are their symptoms? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I mind my business. I don't know any of these things. Anywho, Ella wakes up at 2. I laid her back down. Homegirl wakes up at 5. So I nudged the husband. I was like, hey, you want to go holler at that, since she was kind of concerned about what was happening in her dream life. So he goes to holler at her and brings her into the room. I'm like hollering at her, bringing her in here. Now I'm up and I'm stressed. Okay. And so she's laying down in the bed and we counseling her. What happened? You know, what was your scary dream? And she said there were bad men saying things to me. And I was like, what were they saying? Say more. And she said, well, they were saying, I don't like you. And I was like, oh, well, sis, you can't let that be no nightmare. See, you got to teach kids early. You don't let people saying, I don't like you, be a nightmare for you, because the saints are not going to like you. It's somebody going to thumbs down this YouTube video before I even finish clearing my throat. You can't let that be a nightmare. And so I wanted to strengthen her spirit at 5:00 in the morning so that I could strengthen my rest by letting her know people not liking you is not a nightmare, sis. Pray about it, let it go, and go back to bed. And I ushered her right back into her room where she could rest and allow that new mindset to just marinate and percolate into her spirit, because people not liking you. What? Laquana says, so down to earth, love you bunches. I love you too. I'm just trying to share what I'm learning about things. Kiara says, I'm taking this time to bond with my family and starting to write a children's book. Come on, somebody. Diamond says, your level of mind your business is where I need to be. I mind my business. Let me tell you, my sister and I were at a restaurant somewhere, and this lady came in. She stormed into the restaurant. She was boo-hoo crying, and she was asking where her order is, and she was crying and stuff. And then she just walked out. And my sister, I looked over, my sister, her eyes are closed and she's doing breathing exercise. I'm like, what is wrong with you? She was like, I need to go check on her. I was like, you need to mind your business. We're not chasing after people who came in here yelling about food. She probably hungry. Well, I've been sitting here waiting on my food a long time. She probably hungry. Hungry make me mad too. But I mind my business is what I'm saying. That's why I am head of the usher board at Mind Your Business Ministry. Artree says, are we going to have to rescue Pastor? Ooh. It won't be the first time I've been rescued on my own podcast. That's all right. Nisha Fear says, signed up for ministry classes at Bible College. Congratulations. That's amazing. All right, listen, so y'all know how we do. First, we rescue folks. Then we celebrate folks. Then we help folks. Then we help one another. And then we go back to minding our business. That is the most basic rundown of the Woman Evolve podcast that I can give you. First things first, we rescue people. What do I mean by this rescue situation? Rescue means that we look at what's happening in the world and the news, and we say to ourselves, we say, self, what is happening in the world and the news? And what can we do as people who want to believe the best invest in people to look at things from a different perspective. Sometimes people are dragging people for being human or for not knowing better and doing better the way that they should. And here during the Rescue Eve segment at the Woman Evolve podcast, we say, okay, maybe they knew better. Maybe they could have done better, but we understand what it's like to know better and not do better, much like Eve. You're watching this podcast, you're listening to this podcast. I want you to share this podcast with someone who knows better and isn't doing better. The next time that they start knowing better but not doing better, call them Eve. I'm trying to help you help people who've been getting on your nerves because they don't take your advice. Say, now you acting like Eve, and see if that doesn't get people to thinking. I'm trying to help you, okay? Cache says, can we do the male preacher? We're not rescuing him, though. What male preacher? Y'all send me a link in here, and I'll see what I can do. Someone says we need mind your business ministry t-shirts, Pastor. I'm on it. I'm in there like swimwear. We're going to have to wash them down first, and then we'll print on them so that we can do what we need to do to make sure that the corona stays where she is supposed to be. Shavandra Chapman says, I live for a good SJR story, child. I love the Woman Evolve podcast. All right, listen. So, rescue. Let's start number 1, Rescue Eve story for this week. I want you all to know that I am from the great country of Texas. I was raised there, and I did call it a country, not a state, because you got to put some respect on Texas' name. I'm from the great country of Texas, where they do things such as what I'm about to read here. The Texas Department of Licensing and something else, registration. Hold on. Let me call you back. Hold on. Let me look it up. Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. First of all, I could be a part of this ministry as well. I wonder if they're looking for volunteers, because you talking about somebody who knows how to regulate. I regulate like a full-time job. Okay, so anyways, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation posted on their Facebook and tagged Styles by Brittany. They tag Styles by Brittany and says, hello, it has been brought to our attention that you are offering to provide barbering, cosmetology, including hair, skin, nail, skincare, or hair removal, or massage therapy services during the governor's COVID-19 executive order. Please be advised that in addition to the criminal penalties under the executive order, there are potential TDLR violations that could subject you to administrative fines and sanctions. Please keep yourself and others safe by not providing services at this time. First of all, who's snitching on us who want to get our hair done? We understand it's an executive order, but somebody is out here willing to risk it all. And we want to know who was snitching on Styles by Brittany. First of all, can we rescue her? Now, y'all know that some of us are out here looking crazy. I got my corona braids, right? My corona braids and my edges are starting to have a little bit of a disagreement. I don't know what to do. I don't want to spend the time taking my braids out so that I can slap a wig on it. But I also realize that every time I look at them videos, I see my edges and my braids having a disagreement right there live while I'm trying to preach. I'm trying to preach the word and my edges and braids are having a disagreement. Ain't nobody got time for that. Somebody is out here snitching on Brittany. I need to know which one of y'all is doing it, and can we rescue her? Jasmine says, this is an extra level of petty. Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation says, I have nothing but time. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching y'all on Facebook. You're still getting these quick weaves. You're still getting your eyebrows threaded, and ain't nobody got time for that. And they called folks out by name. Some of y'all think y'all petty because y'all like to subtweet and beat around the bush. Not TDLR. TDLR says, I'm tagging folks. Tamika says, buy a wig, child, a wig for me. Sis, I can't buy no more wigs. I'm trying to save my money. I don't know where Corona is trying to take us in this season. Y'all about to see the same wig rotation for a smooth 6 months when these Corona braids give up. Marquita says, they just won't let sis be great. Stylists are essentials. They're essential to some of us. They are essential to some of us. Tony says, yes, I'm trying to get my hair done Saturday. Let's rescue her. I feel like a neglected stepchild without my hair done. Rajina says, got my Corona braids too. No braid spray in the stores though. Can I tell you? This is where we are. Okay, this is where we are. Somebody said they ordered me a wax pot. S. Perry says, Sarah, your edges were laid on Thursday. We wanted to know what edge control you used. Let me tell you, if my edges look laid on Thursday, you know what they want? I think they was kind of laid on Thursday. They was not laid Saturday at communion. I must have sent my friend a picture. I said, be honest with me. Be honest with me. Do I have a teeny weeny afro on the edge of my braids. And would you be honest with me about that? Because your friends need to be honest with you, because ain't nobody got time for y'all to let me be out here with my edges doing what they gonna do. But we thank God for edges. I tell you that, because everybody ain't able. Destiny says, are you still going to be in San Jose in May? Sis, they canceled, postponed, hopefully next time. Sis, ain't nobody going nowhere, evidently, except for in July when we'll be in Denver at the Woman Evolve Conference, because he's able and he's faithful. Can we rescue Styles by Brittany? Sure, there's an essential. Or first of all, I think when I saw a follow-up on this, Styles by Brittany says, I don't know where you got your information from, but your information is wrong. And so she says that they lying on her. On the off chance they not lying on her and somebody was snitching, can we rescue her? Because we don't know where this season is going to take us. Sherelle Stanley says, I'm about that life. The people who tag her about to catch these hands. Veronica says, just use edge wax and tie your hair with a scarf. It will keep them down. I told y'all I don't have that wash and go hair y'all got. My edge control. Have y'all ever had your edge control protest right on your edges in front of everybody? Have you ever thought that your edges was laid and you tied them down and then you sweated a little bit and you went somewhere and your edges was protesting with signs, with picket signs saying, heck no, we won't lay. Heck no. That's what my edges do. How about that? Beloved says no rescue. Funny, but nah. Lamaya says rescue. Anointed Heir says rescue. Ashley says rescue. Devonda says use the black gel. You better take me back. Rela says yes, let's rescue her. Jaquita says it could have been an ill-willed hater. Rescue Styles by Brit, not an edge control. Okay, so listen. We're rescuing hairstylists. First of all, because we don't want to live in a world where they don't exist. Tanya says no rescue. Tanya says no rescue, flatten the curve. Flatten the curve, flatten the edges. It's a lot of things that need to be flattened. What if she's doing hair with a mask on? Can we rescue her and give her a mask? We can't rescue her at all. Like not a little bit. No rescue. Malika says rescue. Tanya says flatten the curve. All right. Denise says rescue, but just this once. We got to be safe, man. All right. So this is what we going to do. We going to rescue you, Brittany, and we going to let Tanya talk to you. Okay. We going to rescue. You know how you need a good cop and a bad cop? We have nominated Tanya to be the bad cop to talk to you about the foolishness of you potentially still doing hair when you're not supposed to be doing hair. So how about that? And then when Tanya gets finished talking to you, we're also going to give you a face mask. And then part of your punishment is going to be giving us deep conditions with steam treatments, like I see on the Instagram videos. Where they brush it and the steam is going and the conditioner is hitting every follicle. That's what we want to see happen. Tamar says, rescue her, sugar. Veronica says, gotta use that got to be gel. My edges are straight from the plains of Africa and it works for me. Okay, so when y'all use the got to be glued gel on your edges, you do it and then I use got to be glued on my wigs, but I've never used it on my edges. So y'all had to help me with that. Jennifer says, let's get some Murray's edge control. It's the best for our edges, relaxed or natural, the one with the black top. All right. Well, let me tell you, if you're struggling with your edges like I am, I want you guys to go into these comments and see what the saints are saying about how we can do this. Leslie says, I'm showing out today. This is who I am in this quarantine season. That's all I got. That's all I got right now. Crystal says, this spray works better for wigs. And Laquana says, this is my first live podcast, but this is just like I'm talking to my sister. I love it. Pastor's a whole mess. Child, we welcome you to the delegation. So we rescued Styles by Brittany for allegedly still doing services. And we want to thank the great country of Texas for all of their contributions to us in the world, really. Okay, in the world. All right, I want to move on to my next rescue. I want to know if we can rescue Nene Leakes. I know that you all have been sitting up watching nothing but my sermons back to back to back. And the only time you watch the Housewives of Atlanta is when the TV shuts off and it just accidentally pops up on your TV. So I know that you've been using this season to consecrate your spirit and your mind and that you're not watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I'm just going to give you a refresher on what's happening in the world of the Housewives. Wendy Williams is upset with Nene Leakes because it appears that they have gotten into yet another spat. This happened allegedly after Nene Leakes ambushed Wendy Williams into an Instagram Live session on Friday. Leakes chatted with friends on Instagram Live after her scheduled chat with former Real Housewives of Atlanta co-star Kim Zolciak Biermann had to be rescheduled due to technical difficulties. It was then that Leakes decided to give Williams an impromptu call. Though Williams has appeared on Real Housewives of Atlanta via a speakerphone with Leakes before, Williams made it clear she never wanted to participate again. I don't have time. No, let me say it. I don't have time. Can someone FedEx me a Wendy Williams accent? I don't have time. I don't have face or time for FaceTime, period. Okay. Williams noted of the incident on her Monday show. If I don't do it for my own parents, why would I be doing it for someone over there? I like Nene, but she's still an over there person to me. Are y'all about to log off of my... Is this the end of the podcast? Is this the end of the podcast because of the accent? Oh, I don't know. Y'all can tell me. Anywho, listen. Can we rescue Nene? Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. Nene ambushed her homegirl, but we all bored and FaceTiming people just to see what they doing. Is that all right? Nene bored like the rest of us. If you guys could see the comments, the delegation is not. Someone says that sound like her sister. I tried. I gave it what I could. Leslie says, I love the class, ratch, blessed, saved, and sanctified rendition of each and every topic you represent. Listen, I'm doing the best I can. Danielle said the accent wasn't bad. Okay, so anywho, can we rescue Nene? She's at home. She's bored like the rest of us. She FaceTimed her friend. Her friend went and put her on blast. And I just want to know, can we have a little grace for Nene? I'm going to tell you right now, the delegation says no for the most part. Naraki says you're acting a whole Eve. That's all right. Angela says no. Tamandi says no. Tanya said it was hilarious. Justwit says Nene wanted to create some drama. No. Nene even did a TikTok. No. Nene needs to stop. No. Okay. All right. So can I just say this? This is all I'm gonna say. Okay, so y'all need to understand grace and sympathy and empathy for Nene, because y'all be friends with people who y'all not really friends with anyway. You know what I mean? Like, we friends, but we not like friends. Like, when you can just randomly FaceTime someone at any given moment and they pick up the phone, that's a special level of friendship. But when you're not like friends and you FaceTime them, then they end up blowing you up or blowing your spot up on the Instagram, that's not right. I don't know. Danielle says she can be rescued and prayed for at the same time. Carrie Ann says Nene is always doing the most. Such a drama queen. Pray for her and move on. Nat says I didn't even pay attention to their drama. Okay. So the answer is no. Balula says no from the Deaconess board. All right, the Deaconess board, the usher board and the Deaconess board got to be on the same page, because what are the ushers without the deacons, and what are the deacons without the ushers here at Mind Your Business Ministry? And they say no. Michelle says no, rescue, just pray for her. No. All right. Well, listen, I'm doing the best that I can out here. Tanya, oh, the comments are scrolling so fast. Shuni says yes, we will from the motherboard. Okay, the motherboard says yes. Okay. All right, well, listen. I'm doing the best that I can. Sounds like no. This is an executive order that I would like to put into, that I'd like to enforce here. Is if we're not able to rescue her, we will send her floaties in this season. We're going to send her floaties, and that's all we got for you, Nene. I wanted to. And I think if we didn't gain anything from this beyond my Wendy Williams impression, it's a win, and you got to know where the wins are in life. So my last rescue is somebody that Jamie sent me, because I already told y'all a couple weeks ago, I don't be knowing who all of these babies and little babies and they girlfriends and their ex-girlfriends. I don't know who all of these folks are, but she sent me this and I thought it was pretty interesting and I wanted to get the delegation's take on it. So Jada Chivez, whose last name I had to look up to pronounce, so if I'm saying it wrong, don't blame me, blame the messenger. Recently went on Instagram Live like people are doing because everyone is so bored that they think that people want to just talk to them on Instagram Live. Says was responding to a question that was asked of her, and the question was, does Jada want to have more children? And she says, when Jada was asked, do you want more kids, her answer shocked fans. She replied, if you are in a relationship right now and you don't have kids, don't have any. She continued by saying, don't have a baby, have fun. I love my baby, don't get me wrong, but they ruin relationships to me. I feel like babies ruin relationships. And obviously, a lot of people were upset by this take on things. And I think from a surface level, I totally understand where people are coming from. But I also feel like there is a deeper meaning, I guess, of what she was saying on the surface. I don't think she thinks that all babies ruin all relationships. She made it a point to say when I watched the clip that she's not having any more kids until she has them with her husband, which I think is also something that has to be taken into account, because when she says if you are in a relationship right now and you don't have kids, don't have any, then she says don't have a baby, have fun. She's not talking about relationships where you're trying to build a life together, because she says don't have a baby, have fun. When you're trying to build a life with someone, it's not just having fun. Now, when you just trying to have fun, you shouldn't have a baby with someone who you just trying to have fun with. Because sis, we can have fun at Six Flags, we can have fun at Disneyland, we can have fun at the movies. Heck, we having fun at this podcast, but I don't want to have your baby. Having fun and having babies are two different things. And I think that she's talking specifically about relationships where you want to have fun. I think we should rescue her, because even when you're in a relationship where you're building a life with someone and you have a baby, it does shift and change the dynamics of the relationship. You've never talked to a couple who have a newlywed baby and they're trying to figure out how to love and connect with one another and how to adjust to the new normal. So if they will do that to a relationship that is like God ordained, sanctified, and supposed to be together, then what you gonna do with a relationship you're supposed to be just having fun? Sarah Williams says, yes, rescue her. LaShawn says she spoke her truth and she's young. Deidre says, if you're in a relationship with a baby, then they can show you who they really are for sure. Lamaya says, rescue. You can't have a baby with anybody. Rescue. Monique says, rescue. Queen says we can rescue her, though. I think, let me tell you something. Babies are stress. They are, and they are incredible, and getting to shape a life and to see how they become in the world is beautiful, and God entrusting you to raise that life is everything. But I think what she says about don't have a baby, have fun. If those are the two options in your dating landscape right now is I want to have fun, then the baby is not for you in this season. It's not, because babies are not just fun. They are responsibility. And if you don't want that, then Adele says she just said it wrong. She meant what you just said. Rescue her. I think so too. Talita says kids can shift the relationship, so just be solid in their relationship. Javon says she needs a rescue, prayer, and therapy. Sounds like she may be going through something. Just my 2 cents. She probably is. I mean, I obviously had children out of wedlock. And so whenever you have, well, not just specifically out of wedlock, because there are people who've had children out of wedlock who had them with a life partner who they eventually ended up building a life and a family with. But when you have children and you're not in the security of building a life with someone, it is challenging to raise a child by yourself. And to be quarantined and isolated with a child, like most of us have been, some of us with partners, and we 2 to 3 weeks in, and you ask somebody, do they want to have, if ask somebody who is with the love of their life and beautiful children who make their heart go thump, thump, thump every time they walk into the room, if they want to have no more kids. Don't nobody want to have no more kids right now. We all quarantine with the children's. And, actually, I take that back. I told somebody that I would try and have another baby right now if I wasn't in my right mind, just because I want everyone who says on my pictures that I look pregnant to actually be right this time, because what I'm pregnant with is pizza. And so I have been thinking about the possibility of just proving everyone right. But then I come back to my senses, because when Ella woke up at 2, I wasn't a good person. Lanisha says, if I really don't like you, the Lord couldn't make me. Amen. Misha says, and we running out of snacks. Sierra says, rescue. It was not what she expected, and she was letting young people know. I totally agree. Angel Thomas Strong says, I don't even want these kids anymore. And then she put 3 crying face emojis, laughing, crying emojis, because listen, she's laughing, but stress. Okay. Nat Edmond says, I'm quarantined with my nieces and I just know these parents are not okay. They're not okay. So stop. Don't ask nobody, do they want any more kids right now? Ask us when these kids go back to school. When these kids go back to school, ask us about having more kids. Oh, yes. As long as they're going to be gone from 8 to 3, send them on. But listen, okay. Sherelle says, folks need to mind their business. Amen. They do need to mind their business. Delphine says, child, Sarah, don't do it. Y'all come get me. I'm coming back. I promise. Pregnant with pizza. That's the only pregnancy y'all can expect from me. If I get pregnant, it really is the Spirit of God that has, allowed this child to come to the world. And I would be, so humbled and blessed that God has chosen me to do something that I didn't even think I was capable of doing. Because right now he's only called me to have that little, a fupa pouch. That's the only thing I'm called to have in this season, not an actual kangaroo pouch for another life. Okay. Alexis says, I'm 28 with no kids. Y'all scare me. Alexis, when you meet the person that God has for you to be in this earth with, there will be such love and abundance in your heart for them that you will want to build everything with them. You will want to build little babies. You want to build little businesses. You will want to build little adventures and memories. You will want to do all of the things in every single way that you can do them. You're not supposed to want none right now. You're supposed to want to mind your business right now. Okay. Amir says, y'all are terrible. I hope my mama wasn't talking about me like this. That's all right, Amir. She probably was, but that's all right. Let's see. Alexandria says, I'm pregnant with twins and got 2 already. Stretch forth your hands. Okay. Stretch forth your hands. There is a certain point. There are 6 children in my house, and that's something to always remember. There are 6 children in my house. So at a certain point, though, you might as well it doesn't really matter how many more kids you add into the mix because you already got a lot of them. So you might as well just keep going. After 4, you might as well just pump out a few more. Kiara says, we are rescuing her, SJR, and me and my Samuel Jackson hairstyle right now. All right. Okay, so listen, we're going to rescue her because that's it. We're going to rescue her because life is hard out here for everybody. And Latoya says, I'm with the person God made for me and I still don't want no kids. And that's your prerogative. That's another thing. Just because you find the person that you want to be with doesn't necessarily, having children is not for everybody. And I'm not trying to put pressure on your wombs or your uterus in this season. You got to do what God has called you to do. Somebody's got to be the cool aunties and the cool uncles who come and take the kids and get the sugar and do the stuff and bring them home. And if that's what God has called you to do, that's what you should just do. Somebody tell me I need to have at least one more what? One more snack? One more piece of bread? If I have one, God did it. Okay. Shari says, praying for my little one. I'm praying for y'all's little one too. Can I tell you also, I'm sending baby juice to all of the folks who want the baby juices. I'm sending baby juice your way. And it's copping over to people who don't want the babies. I just want y'all to live and be happy and to have everything that God has for you and to be at peace with however God is building your life. That's what I want for you more than anything. And so we're rescuing Jada. Jada, we thank you for allowing us to have that moment of venting and just remembering all of the things about the word and the world and the babies and the stuff. Okay. Let me see. Next thing. Oh, oops. Hold on. You know what time it is, right? I want to give Jada some advice. Jada, you're at home. You're with those children. You're like me. You're stressed. I'm stressed. We're trying to do the best that we can. Some days are good. I had a strong 2 days in a row. Today I'm feeling quarantined. It's all right. God is still faithful. You know what I'm going to use to help me, though, with these children when this podcast is over and they want to do all of the things? I'm going to introduce them to something that I found. If you're a mom, you're an aunt, you're a teacher, you're at home and you're trying to figure out a way to keep the children engaged and informed, I cannot wait to tell you about this sponsor that is literally changing the game right now during quarantine season. Vooks. It's called Vooks. It's like books, but with a V as in Victor. Vooks is a great resource to use in the home with your children. Vooks is a streaming library of ad-free, kids-safe, animated, read-aloud storybooks trusted by teachers and enjoyed by millions of children around the world every week. This is VOOCs, okay, guys? Basically, it's like what everything you wish you could do for your children 24/7 when it comes to reading books. It's animated, it's read aloud, it's kids safe. You don't have to worry about inappropriate things popping up, and there are no ads. It is an entire library of storybooks brought to life to help encourage the love of reading. You can sign up for VOOCs and use the take-home resources to keep your children reading 20 minutes a day during these extraordinary times. With schools across the world temporarily closing, more and more children are home with limited resources for learning. During this time of uncertainty, VOOCs is committed to being a resource for families to keep kids reading at home. VOOCs can also be a welcome distraction for parents, allowing them to enjoy their time with their kids watching and discussing books together. What I love so much, and this is going to blow you guys' mind. So the Woman Evolve listeners are getting 30 days of access for free by going to VOOCs.com/Woman Evolve. First of all, there are so many books on there. If you had to actually purchase these books, it would cost so much money. But at least for the next 30 days for free, you can get access to books that are going to help you in this season with parenting the kids and keeping them engaged. That is VOOCs.com/Woman Evolve. Jada, if you're listening, we want to rescue you, and we want you to take these 30 days of VOOCs for the kids so that they can just live their life and mind their business. Okay? VOOCs. I want you guys to write that down for real. Sherelle Stanley says, yeah, this 2-year-old don't sit still long enough so we can read. The animation is going to help. Lakeisha says, Sarah, you make me want to sign up. It's free for 30 days. So literally you've got nothing to worry about. Okay, so that's VOOCs. Now it's time for Hail Mary. Hail Mary is when we take a moment and just acknowledge people who are doing incredible things in the news. Obviously, with us all navigating this pandemic, seeing people who are standing up in troubling times is something worthy of us celebrating and acknowledging. I want to give a big ups to Senator Chuck Schumer. Senator Chuck Schumer is calling for up to $25,000 in heroes pay for frontline healthcare and service industry workers as Congress pushes ahead with a new coronavirus crisis rescue package. This is a heroes fund, and they deserve it, the New York Democrat said Tuesday. The Senate Minority Leader declared the emerging proposal the highest priority for Democrats as congressional leaders and President Trump call for more aid for Americans. Nurses, truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and others are risking their lives, literally, to care for Americans amid the COVID-19 pandemic. This $25,000 in hazard pay would be available to them for the rest of the year for frontline workers. So I thought that was really dope. The people who are literally, a lot, I'm going to say literally paid the least in our country, from the grocery store clerks to even teachers who don't get what they deserve, are really standing up in this time, adjusting to new ways of doing business and adjusting to a world where they have been deemed essential, even though they haven't been deemed maybe as essential in the past. And I think that they should definitely receive some type of compensation. I know, a lot of people are getting stimulus checks, but I really do think that if we can pull this off, we should make this happen. Kashay says, yeah, I agree with this because I'm a server and they expect me to come to work but don't want to pay anything. Okay, how about that? Christina says, I am a pharmacist. Y'all pray for us. Definitely praying for you guys. And so someone's downloading VOOCs. The Saints are also praying for student loan forgiveness. Y'all might as well. We just need to start all over. We just need to start everything over. Okay, Felicia says, they're looking for the code. It's VOOCs.com/Woman Evolve. That will give you your 30 days. So let's see. Definitely want to give a big ups to Senator Schumer for that. I thought that was amazing. Wakita says, yes, I work at the hospital and they work hard, so it's tough, I'm sure, especially in this time. Josie says, I'm a mail carrier and sis, I'm tired. I know you are, guys. I'm praying for you. I know you're tired. I know you're literally risking your life. I know that you're not getting paid risk your life type money sometimes. And so this is a passion and a purpose for you guys. And we thank you. We thank you for it. Let's see. So that was Senator Chuck Schumer. Oh, guys, have you seen this video of this young woman named Cammie? She shaved her eyebrows. Oh, to be in solidarity with her sister who's undergoing cancer treatments. The video is shared by Instagram user Trill Cami, Trill Cami, and it shows the two sisters side by side as Cami tells viewers that she shaved her head today for her sister because she felt ugly as a result of her hair falling out due to cancer. As her sister Gabby continues to cry, Cami begins to shave her eyebrows. Gabby turns in astonishment as Cami starts to affirm her while shaving the facial hair, letting her know that these are meaningless, reminding the sister that hair doesn't define her beauty. The two burst into tears as the emotional moment is caught on video. I wanted to be the weird person who shows up in the bathroom and gets in on the hug. The video is beautiful, and that sisterly love is amazing. I think that man, anytime that we can get a chance to support one another as sisters, it's really important. That actually reminds me of something that I wanted to tell you guys about that the Woman Evolve podcast is doing. Well, the Woman Evolve network, right? Like our network of sisterhood. We're coming together to help you guys who have been affected by the coronavirus. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you're an essential worker. Maybe the kids being home and eating through the groceries is just tearing you up. And you have decided that you need a little bit of help, but you don't know where to get it from. We're giving away $500 a week to 2 women. So that's $1,000 total for the next few weeks. As long as we can do it financially, we want to continue to sow into other women's lives who are being affected by this. And I'm going to give you guys information on how to enter. Okay. So to enter for a chance to win, all you have to do is text We Care, WE Care, one word, to 1-888-767-9065. Again, that is 1-888-767-9065 and text We Care. You guys can enter in for the chance to win $500. Each week we're going to be giving it away. And if you have a little extra to give and you're like, okay, I need the $500, but I have $5. Maybe I don't have everything I need, but I at least want to sow into helping another woman. I want you guys to consider giving something. Maybe you have extra. Maybe you haven't been affected financially and you want to be a part of what Woman Evolve is doing to help other women. You can text We Give. That's We Give to 77977. And then when you give, just select We Care. So far we've raised, I think, about $3,500, and we've been able to bless a lot of women. We announce the winners each week. So that's just something I wanted to let you guys know that we're doing here at Woman Evolve. We wish that we could do more. Hopefully we'll continue to do more, but we definitely want to make sure that we are helping you guys in whatever capacity we can. So again, text 1-888-767-9065 and the words We Care so that we can help you guys. Okay, so one more Hail Mary, Hail Joseph. When it's a man, we call it Joseph. Terrence Lester. Terrence Lester is traveling around Atlanta, placing portable sinks outside so that those who are homeless can also stay safe during the coronavirus. CNN reports Lester is the executive director of Love Beyond Walls, a nonprofit dedicated to helping the homeless. As a teenager, Lester experienced homelessness, and the struggles they face are problems he's all too familiar with. The difficulties are intensified with this pandemic, and Lester says he wants to do whatever he can to help. Gospel recording artist Lecrae and Reach Records have stepped up to the plate to provide the first 15 units, assisting with assembly and placing them around the city. Lester hopes that more will chip in and make it possible to install units all over the United States. So I thought that was really dope. There's the video. When you guys read the whole article, if you guys choose to do a little bit of research about what he's doing, he talks about a homeless man who was saying he needs to keep his hands clean so that he can make sure he doesn't catch the virus. And so I thought that was really, really dope and something worth sharing. So those are our Hail Marys and Hail Joseph for this week. Our next part of the podcast is when we give our sisters some advice. Sis, you're at home and you got dilemmas and you got issues and you want the delegation to help you, I want to tell you how we can help you. You can email us info@womanevolve.com, or you can slide into my Instagram DMs, and I try to go through as many as I can so that we can get the delegation's input on what's happening in your world. We want to help you out. We want to see you win, okay? We want to see you be free, okay? So the first advice question says, I've heard on the podcast a few times that women struggle with feeling like they can't be direct or bossy or demanding, or they feel like they're doing too much. I, however, struggle with being too direct with people, and it can offend people. How do I deliver my words in a nice way without coming off as mean? So, I don't struggle with this at all. I'm kind of like an all or nothing kind of person. So I'm either like sugarcoating something tremendously and to the point where people have no idea what I'm actually trying to say, or I say things so direct that it catches people off guard. So one of the things that I have tried to learn is to really balance the two, right? So when you are struggling with being too direct, one of the things I would suggest you do is to add maybe a little bit of reasoning or explanation behind what it is that you're saying. Like when you say maybe someone is touching your face, like this is maybe not the best example, but you're like, don't do that, right? And someone now feels rejected because they're all sensitive and don't think that you want them to touch them. And you can say, don't do that. I'm trying to take care of my skin and I don't know where your hands have been. You know what I mean? Like when you add a little bit of explanation, it helps the person to understand, or I need you to get this done. I asked you to do this yesterday. Why isn't it done? Now, another level of explanation may be I have a deadline that I have to meet, and when you're late, it makes me late as well, so that it adds maybe a more encompassing view of that direct statement that you have said. I also want to really distinguish the difference between direct and like rude. You can be direct without being rude. It's like that whole brutally honest thing. Like we can be honest without being brutal. Now, your honesty may still sting. Your honesty may still be difficult for someone to hear, but we don't have to be brutal in the delivery of it. And so I want to ask you to really challenge yourself. Am I being direct or am I being rude? And if I'm being rude, is there a better way that I can say the same thing? It can still be direct. It can still be to the point, but that also takes into account that there's another person on the receiving end. I have found, and I stand by this statement explicitly, that you can say whatever you want to say to anybody as long as you know how to say it. Because at the end of the day, you may be able to get your words free, but if it's at the expense of hurting someone or someone else is bleeding as a result of it, then you have to question, can I really stand by my delivery? That's not to say that everything you say is going to make someone feel good, but there is a way that you can say it that allows you to maintain your integrity and character without hurting people in the process. That's my perspective, but I want to hear what the delegation says. Linda says, preach. Some people think they have to be rude to be direct. Giselle says, true, honest without cutting the person with your words. Real to Real blog says, I'm learning to look at things not only from my perspective, but others. Ruth says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Sassy says, absolutely, sis Sunday. Chloe Bryan says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's, for me, I think it's always how you say it. Felicia Gregory says, my directness at times is received as being mean, although that's not my intentions. I totally get it. And to be honest, like I think that our language is a reflection of the culture that we have been raised in. So my mother is very, very gentle. And so I tend to be very gentle with people. But sometimes my gentleness keeps people from understanding how serious I am. And that's when I turn to my father and I have to just say it how I say it when I said it. Okay. But I think that our language is often a reflection of the culture we've been raised. So I think another thing you have to ask yourself is like when my mother, when my father, when my grandmother, whoever speaks to me like this, said things to me growing up, how did I receive that? Because you may have been wounded, like my mother's so direct, and then you find yourself being direct like your mother. Well, how did you feel when you were on the receiving end of that language? It may have made you tough. It may have changed the way that you show up in the world. But if you remember those initial moments where perhaps you felt wounded or vulnerable, then we go into relationships knowing that everyone has not been raised and cultivated in an environment that makes you tough and able to receive everyone's words. So how can I be considerate of that but also get my point across? Sarah says, I'm screen recording this and sending it to a few people. Oh, I hope that it helps. Let's see. God's Girl says, sharp as a serpent, gentle as a dove, for sure. Claudia Brown says, some people taking your kindness as weakness. And Kiki Fox says, sometimes it's not how you say it. Some people just don't want to hear what you have to say. However, deliver in love always. That's so true. That's like, once again, I think that once you do everything that you can do, you can still say things like that people may not fully understand, and it may hurt their feelings. But as long as you can stand by how you said it, like, did I say it in love? Did I say it taking into consideration, how they're going to receive it? And if it still hurt their feelings, so what? Like, oh, I didn't mean so what. Eve said, so what? I didn't mean so what. I meant God bless them, and pray for God to open up their hearts and their ears to receive the intention behind what you said. You know what? I think the other thing is too, though, like, sometimes if you say it wrong, don't be afraid to fix it. Like, if you know that you're direct and you look back on a conversation, especially if you like, I'm direct, and that's just how people are going to have to receive me. And then you start to really pull yourself on the carpet, call yourself to the carpet about that. Like, I don't want to be this way anymore. Don't be afraid to change the narrative. You may say something direct, but don't be afraid to go back and say, you know what? I really thought about what I said to you, and I think there was a better way to say it. I stand by the intention of what I said, but I don't think that I said it in a way that was a reflection of how I feel about you. So I want to apologize for that. Next time I need to say something like this, what is a way that I can say it that can make it more receivable for you? That's one of the things that my husband and I have even had to walk through in our relationship. He's very direct. And I beat around the bush when it comes to things. And so I had to tell him, like, listen, I can't handle it. When you just like be asking me questions, like, it does something down in my soul. I can't handle it. And I need you to find a better way to talk to me. And you know, he told me, he was like, I'll work on that. And I need you to find a better way to receive from me. And we both had to work towards that because we're in a relationship. Beltia says, I'm all right with Eve saying, so what? Reva says, I gave you a whole nod and shoulder shrug. It's so what? I didn't mean so what. So what wasn't nice? Charmaine says, PT intimidates me over the internet. PT will tell you, my husband, that's what they call my husband, PT. PT will tell you how it is, and you will just have to deal with it. Shamika says, I try not to be rude to anyone. I try to be kind and treat others right, but there are times I am bold in my speaking in order to get my point across, but also show love because another person's feelings matter to me. I think the last thing I would say to that is, like, don't be afraid to break the mold. Like, if you have created this certain mold of how people can handle you and how you interact with people, and you're like, well, I don't want to switch it up because everyone has known me as just meek and quiet and gentle, or everyone has known me as bold and direct, and I don't want to switch anything up. Like, don't be afraid to grow and evolve. This is the Woman Evolve podcast, right? So we're all learning who we are in different seasons of our life. As long as you are humble enough to be able to say when you're wrong and to fix things as you grow, give yourself room to see who you can become when you add in things that feel like a pulling and a tug that lead you closer to who you are authentically in this moment. So let's see. My next advice question says, in reference to the marriage post, the right to remain silent video clip. So for those of you guys who don't know, there's a video that is out from when I spoke at a marriage conference in Georgia, and it's on the Woman Evolve page. I'm going to post it on my page this week, but it says, how does that work in terms of infidelity? I forgave my husband once for cheating, then found out a week before Corona hit that he was cheating again with someone else for like the last 2 years. We've only been married for 5. What does God want me to do now? So I think I have to lay the foundation by saying I cannot tell you what God wants you to do in your marriage. You have to have a relationship with God that allows you to really understand what he wants you to do from season to season in your marriage. For some people, the truth may be you need to separate and get your heart together to heal and become whole, so that I can tell you who you need to be with so that your current husband can grow into that person, or so that you can have peace while I bring the person I have into your life. That may be someone's truth. Someone else's truth, God may say, I've called you to this man, and I want you to be with this man through thick and thin, and I want you to grow with him and learn with him and just get ready to go through some different things while he becomes the man that I've called him to be. I don't know what God has told you about your husband, so I cannot speak to that. What I do think is most important, though, is that you recognize that this is not what God has in mind for marriage. I think you got to start there. Now, whether or not you stay with him and you guys grow and figure it out, or you take a minute to heal and assess your heart so that you can make the best best decision moving forward, that's something only you and God can come to a conclusion about. But you have to know that when God created this idea of marriage, that it did not include someone cheating on you for 2 years. It did not include someone having these extramarital affairs. This is not God's vision of marriage. And I think it's important for you and your husband to know that our marriage as it currently stands is not God's vision. In that message, I talk about your marriage. You need a vision for your marriage, right? Because if there is no vision for your marriage, then visions will just be created based off of our brokenness and our pain and our idea of what our life should be like, right? I suspect that this isn't your husband's vision for marriage either. I don't think anyone gets married to cheat on their spouse, but I think when they have unresolved issues and unresolved brokenness, that they end up creating a life that they don't even like and enjoy, and end up causing a lot of pain and harm to other people. So I say that to say that you and your husband have to be on the same page about this marriage is not what God has in mind for me. It's not what God has in mind for you. So then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to get closer to who God has in store for me personally? So you have who you are as an individual, and you have who you are as a couple. There's no way that you have been married for 5 years, your husband's been cheating for 2 of those years, and had an affair before that, that you have not been hurt in some capacity, damaged in some capacity. Your idea about faith, love, trust, marriage, all of those things have now been brought onto the table and are in question. So you got to take a minute and assess your own heart and assess your own damage, and really begin to ask God those really tough questions. God, how did I end up in this situation? God, did I have a word from you? Can I receive a word from you about this marriage? Who am I supposed to be in this season? You got to get connected to God so that God can give you vision and clarity on who you are in this season. And then you got to put that marriage on the altar, and you got to say, God, I need to understand what's happening in this marriage. And if I were you, I would ask my husband to do the same thing. I don't know if he's capable of doing the same thing. I don't know what his relationship with God is like. I don't know what he has gone through, but he's got to do some work as well too. But I think you can't control, what I know is that you cannot control someone else's work. You can only control your work. I was married. I was in a relationship where I experienced a lot of infidelity, a lot of affairs. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I got clearance from God in my walk and my relationship with God to walk away from that marriage, because that marriage is not what God had in mind for me. And there was no way I could stay in that marriage and become who I knew God had called me to be. I was too broken, too insecure, too angry to ever be who you guys know me to be now. So like, God knew about Woman Evolve even when I was in the middle of that marriage. And he knew that there was no way Woman Evolve could be birthed from who I was in that moment. And so it was me having a relationship with God, understanding the possibilities of who God has called me to be in the earth, that made me get my house in order so that he could flow, right? So we talk about getting our house in order. Why are we getting our house in order? Because God wants to live in our house, right? And God cannot live in this clutter, and he cannot live in chaos. And so we have to create an environment so that God can live in the houses that we create. And right now, you got to create a house within yourself that God can dwell in. And I think that if I were you, and I have been you in some capacities, that I would start focusing on me and what I need in order to be whole. But I want to hear what the delegation says. Tasha says, go back to the drawing board, figure out what you both want, seek God, and proceed accordingly, praying for you and your marriage. Robert Martinez says, sometimes I want to take it easy and slow, and other times I just want to really give it to her. Okay, that sounds all right. We're going to block you out of here, because what is even happening in the world today? I don't know. Nat Edmonds says, SJR, I totally agree, but the way my mind is set up, I would leave and find myself, then let God guide me to what is meant for me. Once again, you got to, you got to do what you can do, okay? You got to live your life and do it the way that you do it. But I think like part of being in this situation in a marriage, I think like the hardest thing to do, and like y'all are going to drag me for this, right, is like, I don't think that you can really come to a place where you can do what God has called you to do, whether it's walking away from a marriage or staying in a marriage, until you have fully said, God, I will do whatever it is you want me to do, and really mean it. God, if that means staying in this marriage and this person doesn't change at all, like I'm putting my marriage on the altar, like Abraham put Isaac on the altar, like I'm going to put down my idea of what my life is supposed to look like on the altar, and I will only pick it back up if you tell me to pick it back up, right? So you got to be willing, like, so in my first marriage, man, I'll tell you when I got to that moment where I was like, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is just surrender to what this marriage is. And I'm going to see if I can live in what this marriage is. There was someone who was pregnant at the time. I started buying baby clothes for the person. I tried to be nice to the person. Like, I tried to really lay it all down on the altar. Like, God, I'm in this. I've already had these little church mistakes. Like, I want to try and do this thing your way. And I did it his way, right? Like, I found a way to let God's love flow through me. And there was something about when it happened after the whole pregnancy and stuff, there was something about that final infidelity where I realized that God was not going to continue to call me to be in that situation. Like, I released his love. I put myself down, my ego, my pride, my need to be right. I laid all of that down, and I decided to just fully just show up in that marriage, to stop second guessing, to put both of my feet in it and say, this is who it is. And I got a release from God that way. So I think you got to really fully be prepared to weigh both options. Now, you may not be able to weigh both options in the same house. Maybe you guys do need to separate for a little bit. Maybe you do need to go to marriage counseling before you can make a decision to sort through your own issues and your own trauma. But I think that you got to be willing to say, I'm not going to make a decision right now, because right now hurt may make my decision and brokenness may make my decision. And if hurt makes my decision and brokenness makes my decision, I could end up in the same situation again, because I want someone to fix me and I want someone to love me. But if I can make a decision from the place of wholeness, whether it's staying or leaving, then I can stand by that decision. I mean, I went through a lot of things, even with my divorce, where, there's moments where you're like, am I doing the right thing? But I got to stand on the fact that I didn't make this decision because I wanted to punish him. I didn't make this decision because I wanted to be vindicated. I made this decision because that it was the only way I can maintain my wholeness, and my wholeness and my relationship with God became more important to me than the guilt that I felt from walking away. I hope that helps. I don't know. Kami says God will do his part, and we have to do our part. Jania says put in your best fight for your marriage. Destiny says very simple. Ask him to get a job and pray together. A good one. I think, she's responding to someone else. And Jaleesa says, I went through that, and walking away made me who I am today. I was committed to live my purpose, and God revealed that I chose my ex-husband, and he wasn't who God chose for me. Latasha says, yes, I was in a relationship. Haven't even seen him in 3 weeks since COVID-19, but I'm loving this moment to myself, learning myself and loving myself more and becoming. Amber said, facts. God literally said to me after I prayed and tarried, it's not you, and I finally had peace. Destiny says, what does it mean when God sends you countless signs and answers your prayers about a relationship and shows me he's my person, but then we go our separate ways? It's confusing. I think you got to trust it. You got to trust when you guys end up going your separate ways. You don't ever want to force anyone to be with you or to hold maybe this word from God over someone else's head. You got to trust God. God, if that's my person, then you'll bring this person into my life. And what I have learned, honestly, it's like sometimes we think people are our people, but it's really the spirit of that person. Like the spirit of that person is getting you closer to the spirit of the type of person I want you to be with. I used to say this when I was like, talking to folks after I got divorced. Like, even if you are not the one God, or I used to say it to myself, if this is not the person that God has for me, then I'm just grateful to know a person like you exists, because you confirm that I am closer to what God has had in mind, that I can say that I want someone who knows the Lord, that I can say I want someone who I can joke with as well, that I can say that I want this and want that. And what I found is even in these little situationships that I got closer and closer to being with the person who really God has for me. So sometimes we're like, oh, this is the person God has for me, when really it's God saying, this is the essence of what I have for you. This is the spirit of what I have for you. So if God has called you to someone and then you guys end up going your separate ways, it doesn't mean that that was the person. Perhaps it's God telling you that I want you to be open to the possibilities that these type of people still exist. And just because I showed you this person doesn't mean I don't have someone else for you who has the essence and even more of what this person has for you. So let's see. Just what says you want to be ready for that person, so don't rush it. Amber says, yes, that's good, SJR. Danielle says, that's good, SJR. Artree says, trusting God isn't easy, but know that the promise he has over your life is greater than you imagine. Rashida says, God knows your heart and he won't put more on you than you can bear. Pray for your husband and God will provide you with peace that surpasses all understanding. Let's see. Naturally Gifted says, God do not put you in a marriage and then it broke up months, years ahead. Not if God puts you in it. Adrian says, in the YouTube video, 5 Ways to Identify Your Soulmate by PT, he said, when you know, you know. Yeah, and the only way you can really know is if you have a relationship with God. So, okay. So, let me see. I have one more question from the delegation, and then it's snack time. Devil tried to play us with our timing, so I'm a little late this week, but that's all right. That's all right. Let me see. I put it in my favorites. Okay, so this says, good morning. I would love for your advice on this. My boyfriend recently got baptized, but I am not yet ready to be on his path. But I support his wishes and I still decide to stick by him. How do I manage and handle the changes in their relationship and not give in? How do I fight years of sexual temptation since we would not be getting married anytime soon? How do I continue with the relationship knowing that we can no longer go to parties, listen to ordinary music, not be able to have late calls and texts since the Bible says that no one must not go to bed too late. I'm not sure where y'all read that. I want you to send me that text. Anyway, she says, thank you. Here's the thing, sis. I think that sometimes we have this knee-jerk reaction when someone makes a transition and we say, I'm with you. I got you. You know, like I've been watching a lot of TV, so this is what I got. Like someone's in a relationship and they find out, oh, I have a child from a previous relationship that I just found out about. And you're like, oh, I'm with you. I got you no matter what. Oh, I've decided to move to another state for this job promotion. Oh, I'm with you no matter what. Oh, I'm going back to school. Oh, I'm with you no matter what. We say what we think that we want the person to hear, right? But I think you have to really ask yourself how this transition in his life really affects you. This is your boyfriend. It's not your husband, right? So you got to ask yourself, based off of his transition, can I really be in a relationship with this person? Because basically, he is becoming someone that you do not know. He has decided to walk on this path and this journey that is calling him to an elevated version of himself. And you got to ask yourself, are you ready to elevate with him? Honestly and truly, I don't think there's anything wrong with going back to him and saying, you know, I really want to support you in this journey, in this transformation. And I definitely don't want to be the reason that you don't become who it is you feel like God is calling you to become. But if I'm honest, I'm not sure that I'm ready to make that type of commitment. So I want to know if I can get to know the new you and that we can make a decision based off of who you are becoming. And you got to be honest with him and yourself about that, because you're not doing him any favors by sticking with him, but then being like, Lord, I don't know if I can stick with him. You should tell him, Lord, I don't know if I can stick with you. He should be faithful enough in his walk to give you the space that you need to see if you can live in this transition with him. But you got to be willing to really say, I don't know if I can do it. You know, I don't know if I can do it. You guys have had a history that was built on something different. He's basically tearing down the relationship as you knew it and rebuilding it into something that is going to reflect what he believes is right or wrong without you even knowing for sure if you're ready to make that change. And the worst thing you could do is make that change for him, because if you make that change specifically for him, then you may end up resenting him if you guys don't stay together, or resenting yourself for denying yourself what you believe to be your truth. Now, if you feel like, you know what, at the end of the day, he's moving into this, I've been feeling like I need to move into this as well, maybe we can move into this together, that's something completely different. But if you feel like, hey, I'm not ready for it and that's not how I want to live my life, then you got to really be willing to boss up and make a grown decision and tell him that you're questioning whether or not you guys can continue to walk in your relationship. So I don't know. Let me see. Michelle says, wait, so when the time comes, can we talk on the phone late or not? I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before. Jamie always smiling says, wonder if my job will let me tell them the Bible says I can't go to bed late. I'm tired already. Yes. No, that was Eve. You see what I'm saying? How that gut thing, and then that, let's see. Just what says either you going to grow with him or fall off, but you got to make it plain either way. Nisha says, I do think maybe I'm one that it's not going to happen for, but I'm learning to be on with it if it's God's will. Oh, they talking. The delegation be having conversations in here, and I just be catching up trying to figure out what's happening. Aisha says, my current boyfriend, we in a distance relationship and we fight a lot. He's got a lot of childhood trauma, but he's trying. Every time we argue, he'd always want to leave. I'd beg him to stay and pray. You might need to let him go, sis. Listen, I can't fight you to be in a relationship with me and also fight the world. Okay, listen, fighting the world. Hello, coronavirus. Fighting the world is enough stress and drama. I can't fight you too. You're going to have to make a decision. Charmaine says, the man God has for you, but she's talking about a book. Okay, that's it. Let's see. There we go. Okay, we had to block somebody on the YouTube. They was causing confusion. Claudia says, in 2017, I baptized and I had to leave an 11-year relationship because he wasn't willing to do what God wanted, and I wasn't willing to leave the arms of God. How about that? All right. Let's see. Sherelle says, tell him, bruh, I still want to be out here. Sherelle says, tell him, bruh, I still want to be out here. I'm still out here trying to trick a little. I don't know I don't know what kind of relationship y'all have, but I think that you should tell him that, like, hey, I'm still out here trying to do my thing. And you got to tell him. You got to be honest. Okay. So Michael says, listen, long distance relationships don't be working. Don't speak that. I was in a long distance relationship. How about that? Okay. Let's see. Monica Lewis said, not trick a little. She trick. Was that it? Eve said that. That wasn't even me. All right, sis. So when y'all break up, I don't want to speak breakup over your life, but it sounds like this is where it's headed. When y'all break up, I want to make a suggestion to you. Okay, here's my suggestion. You got to be willing to pick up something. Okay, when you break up with someone, this is my cardinal rule for everyone who's going through a breakup, is to distract yourself with yourself. Do not call big head. Okay, we don't need the hey big head text messages. We don't need to check on your ex. We don't need to check on your coworker. We don't need to do any of those things. What we need to do instead is learn who we are. We need to learn to express ourselves. We need to learn to do those projects that we have been wanting to do for a long time. You want to learn another language. You want to learn how to cook. Now is the time to do it, because it's time for you to date who? You. All right. And Skillshare is here to help you. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of amazing classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. You can take classes in everything from photography and creative writing to design, productivity, and more. So whether you're returning to a long-time passion project, challenging yourself to get outside of your comfort zone, or simply exploring something new, Skillshare has classes for you. One of the classes that I'm personally looking forward to taking is Real Productivity, How to Build Habits That Last. You can join the millions of people who have logged on to learn to make themselves better, especially in this season. Some of the benefits when you are home, you're isolated, you're quarantined, you're just trying to wrap your mind around everything that's happening, is that you can settle your mind. Like, allowing your mind to focus in on a specific skill literally makes everything be blocked out for a minute. If you're anxious, you can explore classes that may help you express what you're feeling through creative discovery, like a creative writing class or an art class. If you're uncertain about what's next, maybe your job is in jeopardy, or you're not even sure if you want to continue down that path when this quarantine is lifted, a creative challenge or productivity class may offer a helpful structure for setting small goals and feeling a fulfilling sense of accomplishment. You can do Skillshare for free for 2 months with our special. That is 2 months of you living your best life and learning who you are. You can join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for my listeners. You can get 2 free months. That's right. Skillshare is offering Woman Evolve listeners 2 months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/evolve. Again, that's Skillshare.com/evolve to start your 2 free months now. Skillshare.com/evolve. Okay. So you guys get onto it. I saw someone who was commenting earlier who was saying that Skillshare has really been clutch for them. So that is Skillshare. Okay. Just so y'all know, your girl is out here with these slides. Naturally Be You says, yes, love how you slide into the transition. Come on, Skillshare. I'm doing what I can. Brittany says, SJR, are you still ordering from HelloFresh during quarantine since they're trying to keep us from the grocery stores and things? I had paused my HelloFresh thing because, that's one of the things I love about Skillshare is that you can pause it. So I paused my Skillshare, HelloFresh. I paused my HelloFresh subscription, but now I'm about to resume it since we can't go to the grocery store. Okay, so listen, you know what time it is. It's snack time in the sanctuary. Okay, how about that? I am sharing with you guys what I am learning during this season. Bridget says, why is the transition always so hilarious? You and Cora messed that up for me. I cannot take the transition serious since that epic podcast. She's talking about the one with Dr. Anita where they kept interrupting me. You guys need to go back and listen to the podcast with Cora and Dr. Anita where they stressed me out during my transition. Okay, but listen. It's snack time in the sanctuary. Okay, so I told you all on Sunday and Monday, I really felt like I was getting a little bit of a quarantine rhythm. Like I figured out what time I need to start cooking in order for us to have dinner done earlier. I figured out what time I needed to be working. I even got on the treadmill those 2 days in a row. And I really felt like, you know what, I can do this. But part of the reason why I really started feeling like I can do this is because when I was working out, right? So in my mind, I was like, I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym, right? But when I think about going to the gym, I just relate it to Orange Theory, right? Which means like when I go to the gym, I'm like, you need to go break your soul in the gym. You need to go in there and you need to show fat who's boss. You need to show carbs that they don't have a hold of you. You need to go in there and be Sonya Richards-Ross on the track. Okay, you need to go in there and live your best life. But I didn't feel like doing that. And when I put that much pressure on myself, I don't do it at all. Because if I don't feel like going beast mode, I don't go at all. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to just go in there and see what happens. You need to see what happens, spirit, okay? You need to just go in there and see what happens. So I went down there. I got on the treadmill and I was on the treadmill for 20 minutes. I got 12 SWAT points. And then I went upstairs. Orange Theory is 60 minutes long. I had 20 minutes to give on Sunday, and 20 minutes is what I gave. And it reminded me the power of stretching yourself but not breaking yourself. Sometimes we insist on becoming until we eventually break ourself, our spirit, and our will all together. But when you decide today, I'm just going to stretch myself, okay? I'm not ready to just eat nothing but salad, but I am going to have a protein shake today. I'm not ready to give up sugar, but I am ready to replace one meal. I'm just stretching myself. I'm still going to eat whatever I want to, except for this one meal. I'm going to have a shake. And I've talked about this before about your life that you could be using to stretch yourself, to say, you know what, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to break a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm one of those people who talk a lot about like breaking out of your comfort zone, breaking out of your comfort zone. But the truth is that we don't really break out of our comfort zone. So I want to remind you in this season of stretching already to not put so much pressure on yourself that you break, right? We're already stretching living in a pandemic. We're already stretching having to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're stretching trying to stay healthy, trying to make sure we wash our hands, trying to make sure we have our face mask on, trying to make sure we're good parents, good wives, good employees, good employers. All of this stretching is hard. Before you add something else onto your plate that could break you, just stretch instead. Remember to stay anchored, to breathe, to meditate, to connect with God, and to worship, to set an atmosphere in your home that gives you peace. And from that place of peace, ask yourself, in what area do I want to water today? Because growth is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, right? We plant a seed. We put the dirt over the seed. We water the seed. We let the sun come. We water the seed. We let the sun come. And then eventually we begin to grow through the dirt, right? And so I just want to ask you to be gentle with yourself and to water yourself little by little, lovingly stretch yourself into change. That's what I'm doing. So I say all of that to say I had a protein shake today, made myself a nice little yogurt cup, and I'm going to fry chicken tonight. I'm pretty sure I'm going to fry chicken tonight. I'm going to look at the chicken. I'm going to ask the chicken, do you want to be baked or do you want to be fried? If the chicken wants to be fried, I'm going to fry the chicken. That's what I can't do everything to everyone. I did this time with you all today. Mackenzie's got gymnastics class on Zoom in just a minute, so I gotta go. But what I want to say is this: I love you. Don't nobody love you like I love you. And I thank you guys. Honestly, for a minute, can I be transparent with you? I am really honored to have a space and a place where I can bring all of myself. You guys handle my heart and my crazy with so much care, and I love you and I'm thankful for it. And I appreciate this time that we get to have with one another. We're in this quarantine pandemic situation together. We're learning as we go, and we're going to become better. And if we don't become better, at least we're going to be closer friends when it's all said and done, which is going to make us better, right? I don't know. Tell me. All right, delegation, this is not over until we pray. I see my girls just saying, I love you. I love you guys too. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love you. Morgan says, I love you, SJR. Thank you for pouring into our life. I love you guys. She said, my life hasn't been the same since Chicago. Chicago, we had a phenomenal time. Okay, guys, listen. I'm going to being able to be ourselves and authentic, of being able to be safe enough to say I'm a little crazy, a little afraid, and I've got enough faith to make it through today, because it is from that place of honesty and truth that you are able to meet us and grow us into who you have called us to be. So, Father, we give you permission to shine a light on our hearts, to shine a light on our souls, and to show us who we are to be in any given moment. Father, I'm praying for the women who shared their stories with us today. Father, I pray that you would heal their hearts, that you would open their eyes, and that you would meet them exactly where they are. For the woman who's not ready to exactly step fully into this life of Christianity or walking with you, I pray that you would show her that you're already walking with her, that the mere fact that she emailed me, Sarah Jakes Roberts, is a sign that you've already gotten through to her a little bit, and that you're patient enough to let her do things at her own timing. Praying for marriages, not just the one that was shared today, but all marriages that are under even more stress because of the pandemic, but are already dealing with the residue of traumas and issues that have taken place. Father, I speak healing, perspective, and wholeness to every marriage, Father, first starting with the individuals and then with the unit. Protect us, guide us, cover us as we continue to learn who we are supposed to be in this kingdom, so that we can show up for you in great, incredible ways. Until next week, be with my girls and the fellas. In Jesus' name, amen.